At Talus, we know cybersecurity can be tough and you can't protect everything, but with Talus, you can secure what matters most. With Talus industry-leading platforms, you can protect critical applications, data, and identities, anywhere and at scale with the highest ROI. That's why the most trusted brands and largest banks, retailers, and healthcare companies in the world rely on Talus to protect what matters most: applications, data, and identities. That's Talus, T-H-A-L-E-S. Learn more at talusgroup.com/cyber.
$1 million, free to play. You just need to survive. It's the Fanatics NFL Survivor Pool. Pick one team to win each week. Get it right, move on. Get it wrong, you're out. The last fan standing take home a guaranteed $1 million cash prize. And for every player who joins, we add $1 to the pot, up to $10 million. The Fanatics NFL Survivor Pool. Play free on the Fanatics app. App access open to all. Must be 21 plus and joined by 9/8 to play. No purchase necessary, U.S. only, void where prohibited. Subject to complete terms. See fanatics.com/game rules.
It's back to school season, and Clorox is donating 2 million disinfecting wipes to classrooms across America. Because back to school means things can get a little bit messy. Just ask second grade teacher Mr. Torres.
Put me and just one Clorox wipe on a team? We can take on crayon smudges, sticky fingerprints on every surface, sneezes on the door handle, juice box explosion by the sink, snack crumbs, and don't even get me started on the bathroom passes.
Clorox disinfecting wipes. Teacher's #1 wipe.
Think about it. Bathroom passes.
Clean feels good. Based on unit sales data.
You're listening to the Animation Addicts Podcast with the Rotoscopers, episode 350, Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue. Welcome to the Animation Addicts Podcast with the Rotoscopers, the #1 place to get your animation fix with animation addicts just like you. Each episode, we dive into the wonderful world of animation featuring Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, and everything in between. From hilarious discussions and movie reviews to interviews with industry insiders, this show's mission is to brighten your day through our love of animation. So hop on your nerdy couch, grab some snacks, and get ready to hang out with your animation besties because it's time to dive into today's episode.
Hey there, Animation Addicts. I'm Morgan Stradling.
And I'm Chelsea Robson.
We're back again. Another fun episode. A milestone in a way. I mean, 350. That's a pretty big number.
Is kind of a milestone.
Yeah, I feel like
big number.
anytime you ever hit the multiples of 25, I mean, after a certain point, maybe 325, I don't think we cared about. But okay, the multiples of 50, I think, still are kind of a big deal. Into the hundreds.
Yeah,
up to 500, maybe. I don't. So yeah, way to go. So we picked a banger of a movie or a film or PSA to do for today's episode, which was recommended by Jana on our voicemail episode, which was a lot of fun. So
you send a voicemail, you have a high likelihood of having us actually do stuff.
People do ask, and sometimes we do answer. Sometimes it's like, ooh, okay, yeah, I see what you want us to do there, but we'll put it on the list.
I'm just saying it's a higher likelihood.
Oh, for
not
sure.
that it's going to.
This was never on my radar, this movie, at all. This was 0% on my radar. So it went from absolutely 0% chance of getting on the, well, maybe not 0, 0.5% chance. There's always a chance of getting on the podcast to, here it is, just the next episode later. So good times, good times. So if you're wondering, what the heck are we talking about? We're talking about Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue.
Good night, itchy eyes. Good night, sudden sneeze. Good night to your symptoms of allergies. Xyzal is the allergy medicine you take before bed. It provides powerful relief while you rest your head. Not just all night, but all the next day. Xyzal keeps working, keeping allergies at bay. And without those annoying symptoms disturbing your rest, you can wake up the next morning feeling your absolute best. Remember, be wise all, take Xyzal. At night.
Icy Hot Pro with 2 max strength pain relievers. Targets multiple pain receptors. Ice works fast, heat makes it last.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
All right. So, cartoon all-stars to the rescue. Very briefly, this was do you want to explain what this is?
I have other auxiliary information that I've planned.
Okay.
So you go for this.
Yeah. So this was basically according to Wikipedia, a 1990 American animated children comedy drama social guidance film. Oh, they're throwing a lot of stuff in there. Basically, it's a PSA how to say no to drugs from the 90s. And this was, President George Bush had the war against drugs. And this was one of the big things that, big, I don't know how big, but this was, part of that campaign where they released this. It was done by McDonald's. So that's why depending on where you watch this, you maybe had the Ronald McDonald House advertisement at the beginning, at the end. And so they partnered with that. And they obviously partnered with a whole bunch of animation studios to include all of these famous 80s cartoon characters / other cartoon characters. It's mostly the big 80s cartoons, but then you have Daffy Duck in there and Bugs Bunny. So because you got Smurfs, Garfield. So yeah, you got the gang of the 80s that were very big and popular at the time. And they're all coming together to tell you a nice feel-good story about what happens when you do drugs.
Oh man, this was 1990. That plays very well into the timeline of what I'm going to go into. See, for our generation, the early millennials, we really know there was this thing called D.A.R.E. And it was a very, what was it? For anybody who was not us, or maybe just they were from a different country. Basically, D.A.R.E. meant that it was an acronym that says Drug Abuse Resistance Education. And by 1995, over 75% of school districts, meaning 114 million Americans, went through this program. That's 34% of all Americans. That's a lot.
That's impressive.
Right. The result was that several studies cited that it actually had the opposite effect. And actually, kids who went through the program were more likely to use drugs than the kids who did not.
That seems so counterintuitive to me.
And yet it is the truth.
I thought D.A.R.E. was cool because in the earlier, or like the older kids who did D.A.R.E., they got the D.A.R.E. t-shirts.
Those were
by the time I went through D.A.R.E., I don't know if funding had been cut or whatever, but there were no t-shirts to be had, which was a bummer. I thought those were the coolest things ever. So I believe we still did it. It went through 2009, I believe.
Yes. So what was it? So basically they got cops from all of the areas to be a part of a nonprofit that would then go into these schools. So they would become school resource officers, and then they would go in, they were taught to teach the kids about drugs, teach them about why they shouldn't do them. And then also, there were evidences that they were using the kids as informants to actually go and nab their parents for drug abuse. Yes, these were actual things. I watched a video on this. This came up on my YouTube feed that said D.A.R.E., the real reason cops taught you about drugs. And it's a YouTube channel called Chapel, Chuppel, Chuppl. And they did a very good job of going through all the things. We'll leave the link to that in the comments, but it's wild. There are connections to the Robert F. Kennedy assassinations. There are spy networks using the kids as informants, friends of Epstein, and
what
dark
is this,
money.
The Soviets?
Yes.
Like a communist snitch on your parents?
Yes, the usual suspects. It had these really deep ties to the Los Angeles Police Department, but as their own entity that they created outside of the police department because it was a nonprofit. So much corruption all through it. It's crazy. And you had lots of people on the board of directors of this thing, including Diane Disney Miller, and president of the Walt Disney Company for about 16 months, Michael Ovitz. So he was there between 1995 to 1997. But it was
I highly recommend everybody go, and if you are interested in seeing this, I would absolutely recommend watching this video because it was wild.
Right. I have some homework to do. I did not
You
know.
do.
I just feel my whole worldview on D.A.R.E has changed.
Yes. It was crazy. And I literally just got done watching that before I got on this video with you. So my mind is very like
Conspiratorial.
conspiratorial.
So
Okay.
Word to
So
the,
let's just
word
put
to
that
the
out there.
listeners. Everything Chelsea says will probably have the tint of conspiracy just because
Hey.
of the lens she's watching. She recently watched these.
Here, just because there is a conspiracy does not mean it's a theory. I'm just saying, if you ever went to high school, people conspire against others. Come on now. So it is fascinating and wild. But anyway, so going into that, let's talk about this: how the cartoon all-stars are coming to the rescue.
Okay, so like I mentioned, there were these different animated characters. It features original characters and then our very favorite cartoon characters from the 80s pop in and make cameos. So we have the Smurfs, Alf, Garfield, Alvin, Simon, Theodore, Woody the Pooh, Tigger, Muppet Babies, Slimer, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Michelangelo. We get just one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. So that's who we got. And then, obviously we have all the voice actors who do each one of those voices. But then we have Michael, who is the main, bad boy in this, which as soon as I heard him, I said, James Marsden, I love you. And I'm like, oh man.
It is a good one to hear his
If
voice.
they would have done this maybe 5 years later, how great would it have been to have Max Goof as the bad boy?
He's gonna end up in the electric chair.
It just would go so perfect. Although maybe Kate, because he's not a bad kid. Max isn't necessarily bad. He's just kind of a teenager. So that might send him down. That might make his backstory a little too dark. But hey, whatever floats your boat. If you just want to watch this and just imagine in your mind, every time you see Michael, who's the human character, you're hearing Max Goof. So you can just rewire your brain to picture Max in this, and it will dramatically improve your experience watching this. So highly recommend. And then there's the sister who is in this, and she's really the only other character. Her name was Corey. And the parents. So we have, I pulled this from the YouTube video. We'll include the YouTube. So this video, I don't feel bad saying, hey, here's a YouTube video to find this thing.
Oh, no.
So we'll include the link to in the show notes where you can watch this for yourself. But on the YouTube video that I watched, I don't know if this person wrote it or, it was posted in 2008. It doesn't seem like AI, but whatever. I thought it was good. Michael, a teenager, is using marijuana and stealing his father's beer. His younger sister, Corey, is worried about him because he started acting differently. When her piggy bank goes missing, her cartoon tie-in toys come to life to help her find it. After discovering it in Michael's room, along with a stash of drugs, the various cartoon characters, including Winnie the Pooh, Bugs Bunny, Kermit the Frog, and a host of others, proceed to band together and take Michael on a fantasy journey to teach him the risks and consequences of a life of drug use can bring, while also defeating a personification of smoke, voiced by George C. Scott.
Ah, yes. The Smoke Man.
This was big in the 90s. I'm trying to think of Hexes.
Yes.
Smoke was the baddie.
Yeah. Well, I also have to point out once again, because this is my view, that started out with George H.W. Bush, also known as the 11th director of the Central Intelligence, or the CIA, and his wife. I'm telling you, once you're CIA, you're always CIA. So that's the view that I see this through. Oh, man. But the thing is, as far as if you're looking at the animation of this, it is very reminiscent of Saturday morning cartoons of that era. And this is this is 1990, so it was 80s era animation. And but I do have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed all the voice actors because they were all the original actors from those cartoons. So that was, I give them props for that, of going original.
I read that Jim Cummings, who is notoriously the voice of Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, and amongst many other things, as they were recording the voices, some of the things Pooh were saying, he's like, no, Pooh wouldn't say this. We need to go back to the drawing board because he's too innocent. I don't know what that version of it was. Yeah, it says he enjoyed the recording sessions, but requested Winnie the Pooh's lines in which he talked about drugs to be rewritten, stating he's an innocent. It makes no sense for him to even know those words. So totally, like I feel like it was just like, because there were certain parts where they're like, marijuana is insert definition here. Like I feel like Pooh had one of those, and he was like Pooh's not gonna participate in this.
Yeah. I'm glad that he stood up for the characters.
Thanks for standing up for Pooh.
And like also watching this, it just reminded me of the Simpsons quote where they're watching I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill, and he's like, what the heck is this? It's one of those campy 70s throwbacks to appeal to Generation Xers. And then Bart's like, we need another Vietnam. Then out there ranks a little.
I'm just an amendment to be. I'm an amendment to be. And I'm hoping that they'll ratify me. We got too many. There's
a lot of flag
burners who have got too much freedom. We gotta make it legal for policemen to beat them. Good times.
Because there's limits to our liberties. At least I hope and pray that there are. Oh my god. Oh my god.
They knew what's up. I love Simpsons parody songs. Yeah, okay. So yeah, you're right on. This is like right in the alley, right, like same quality as what you're expecting, typical 80s stuff. It's nothing better, it's nothing worse, it just kind of is. I don't believe I saw some sort of budget posted. I don't think they really needed to include that, but the executive producer, I noticed at the very, very end, was Roy E. Disney. So they were on board. Up until this point, I just recently watched a video, which I'll include in the show notes as well, about Disney Toon Studio. And in the very beginning, they're kind of presenting how we got here, and they talk about initially Disney was really against using any of their characters in any sort of Disney in the 80s really wasn't the Saturday morning cartoon crowd. Like they stayed away from that, and they let all the other studios do that. And then obviously Warner Brothers had a lot of their shorts and Hanna-Barbera and all these things. But then the 80s, Disney really didn't have that until Michael Eisner came on board, and he was a little bit more free-flowing with everything and said, yeah, sure, let's use some of these other characters. And they were really initially against having character, like the main flagship characters. But by the time DuckTales rolls around, so first they created Gummy Bears, and that was somewhat successful. And then, then they start letting the belt loose a little bit. And so then we start seeing the Huey, Louie, and Dewey in DuckTales. And then, Donald does make an appearance in there. So by this point in 1990, because initially we were like, wow, really? They let these characters in on this? But I think the culture and just the attitude towards these characters had changed a little bit to say, yeah, we'll include them, but it'll only be certain ones. We didn't see Mickey Mouse.
No, that would be weird. I mean, truly weird if you get Mickey Mouse in one of these. But once again, Diane Disney Miller was on the board of directors of D.A.R.E. So you just never, these are the connections that happen.
Yep.
So it's like, we're wondering how they might have gotten wrapped into this. Well, there's reasons.
Yeah, indeed. So where do you want to go? What do you want to talk about with this? First off, I have no recollection of this. Was never in my household. Like we said, if you look at the VHS cover of this, it's free to rent, which I'm wondering if they just gave this to video stores for as a PSA sort of thing. I don't know. I'm interested but not interested in going a deep dive and researching this, but I'm not sure what's happening there. But it was available, but no, it was not available to me. So this was the first time watching it, and I feel like Jana said in her voicemail, oh, this was critical to my childhood. This was great. I think you had to have been there and I could see definitely how watching this as a young child would be so amazing to see all your favorite friends together in one place.
I mean, if the fact that one of my absolute favorite movies to rent not necessarily to watch, but to always rent was When the Jetsons Meet the Flintstones. I mean, yes,
Crossover.
mashups are always a winner.
Yes. And we know that even more nowadays. I feel like mashups are everywhere you go, but they were rarer back then. Yeah. So we have, there were just some funny quotes that, they're like, what is that? So like they go, the sister is looking for her piggy bank, and she goes in the brother's room, and they're like, what is that? It's like, my guess would be marijuana, an unlawful substance, blah, 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 blah.
Oh my gosh. And I love that they premise it with the fact that it's unlawful, as opposed to like, this is a thing that'll rot your brain. And also it's illegal, it's like, but they start out with it's unlawful and therefore it's, immoral.
Yes.
But it's like, no, it's just really bad for you.
Yeah. I think that's the most important thing to really hit home. It's really funny seeing this movie now. This is 35 years later, and society has changed a bit. So like the unlawful substance, I mean, I feel like if they were to rewrite that, an unlawful substance in some states, federally illegal, you'd have to have all these these little, asterisks next to things. And because it is illegal in a lot of states, there's just this culture of marijuana use. And I will just go out and say it. I'm not a fan of marijuana. Give me one instance on when the legalization of weed has made society better. In all the cities where they do that, it seems like there's a downfall in quality of life. You can't go downtown without smelling weed everywhere, or like in your backyard because your neighbor's doing it. Like, alcohol is one thing because you can kind of contain it to yourself. Mm-hmm. But this one has, like, speaking of the smoke monster, like it really, it sucks. Like it smells, it's gross. I don't like it. And so I'm totally a fan of continuing to ban it, because I don't think it makes society better. And there's some things that you just say, no, we don't do this as a society, like murders, things like that. But I
really wouldn't compare the two.
I know that is an extreme example.
On the principle side, I think it is horrible for your brain, horrible for you. It leads to nothing other than
schizophrenia people who use it. It's like crazy high. These are the things that the marijuana lobby doesn't talk about.
Right. Well, it's really just, it leads to people being extremely, there's a laziness to it, but just unproductive, and like you're not going to make your life better at all. You're really stopping yourself. And I have a friend whose brother, when he started using drugs around like 14, and it just escalated to all sorts of drugs, and it really stopped his brain. So he was in his 60s, but he was a 14-year-old. They found him living under a bridge for a while. He was just one of those guys that they kind of had to like sequester him a little bit in order to stay in their own, because they like built him a little apartment so that he could just be there. So it's just like you have major issues that come from these things. But at the same time, I feel like the place that you put them is not a jail cell. It is a rehab center. So it's not I don't agree that you should be your entire life should be ruined 20 years in jail because of possession kind of thing. I believe that it's like, hey, when you're in this state, you're ruining your life, and that it really should be focused on those things as opposed to because I said so and you're going to jail kind of thing.
I didn't say anything about jail, but yes.
That's what it is though. Like when you say we're banning the substance, like that's like, okay, then what? Okay, now they have it, now what? So they end up going, you have to put them somewhere.
And like you say, you put them in a rehab facility, but there's lots of problems and issues with that, and corruption that happens with these centers. I don't know. I'm not here to talk about the politics of it. I'm just stating the record. I'm not a fan of marijuana. I don't think it makes society better. You shouldn't use it. It's bad for your brain. It sucks. So let's talk about Michael. Michael gets to go on this
Michael.
wild ride experiencing what would happen. It's just really, it is sad because you see through his flashbacks. I don't know. It's almost like a Ebenezer Scrooge sort of moment that he has, but he goes back and
what's in the past is black and white.
he sees the very first time it happened to him, and he is younger. He definitely, so it's not like, he just stumbled on weed recently. You can tell he's like a younger kid, maybe like 12 years old, and he's just, there's a bunch of teenagers hanging around the corner and wanting to smoke. And then he's, what is that? He didn't know what it is. And so he tries it, and then it like leads him down this path. And I think that happens, you don't know what that's going to be for you or if that's going to be you at all.
Right.
So unfortunately it happened to him. And then it led him down this other path of these other crimes of robbery and stealing and now beer, as an underage person. And so then he sees where he's at and shows where he can. Do they show his future?
Yeah, well, kind of. They take him into the Hall of Mirror kind of place, and they show him as a complete druggie.
Yeah.
And yeah, those pictures aren't wrong.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so
it's interesting they did weed versus cigarettes, like as the choice. I'm wondering what was the reason, like, because cigarettes were a big thing, say no to.
They actually, in the flashback, he was like, "Oh, you guys are ruining your lungs smoking cigarettes," and they're like, "Oh no, man, this is grass, this is weed," and
same old since the 60s.
Yeah, and so I don't know. It was just more and more. It just felt like, what the heck is this? It's a TV throwback. It's like, it's so just not, as the youngins would say today, it's very cringe. Just look at how they talk, and the whole script, everything about it is just very hello there, fellow kids. So yeah. There was one quote though. The husband or the dad is looking in the fridge and wondering where his beer went. And his mom's like, you probably drank them all last night watching football. And I'm like, apparently getting blackout drunk is normal for you watching football. If he's just like, yeah, probably. Like, you don't remember these things? Like, there's obviously problems with this whole family. So
just a normal day in the life. Yeah. So this was a funny one. Did it affect you, Chelsea? Did you have a different view on marijuana?
Marijuana? No, I did not. But I did. Oh man, that Just Say No musical number. How good can you get, man?
I mean,
it was amazing.
Wonderful Ways to Say No was written by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, and I was like, not their best work.
But they got their foot in the door. They were there, so
yes. So
just a paycheck.
Just funny that's like, okay, yeah. I mean, just throw something together. If you're those two, you're like so musically inclined. You're like, okay, like this is very low stakes for us.
I'm gonna look up the lyrics to this because there were some that were, they were good. Baby Kermit, if your pals say, let's get high, here's a practical reply. Go ahead, let it fly. Spit them right in the eye and say, no. Like, what? There's a million international ways to say no. And here's the thing. If you're trying to give kids a reason and the ability to set boundaries for themselves, hey, I'm all for it. But here's the thing, it's just crazy. So the chickmunks come in and say, there's a million international ways to say no. Those drugs are so boring. All around the world, the smart guys are giving up dope. I've been training for football. In Berlin, they just say 9. And they tell me that works fine because the bottom line is to show your spine and say no. Now that you could beat it, get lost, get out of my face with that stuff. But that could be tactless. You might prefer cool like this. I'll catch you guys later, okay? I've got too much homework. It's rough. I'm late for my baseball game and I'll miss my ride. My kid sister needs me. Her hamster died. Gotta hurry home. There's no time to kill. So I'll catch you later. Like heck I will. Like, gosh. There's a million wild and wonderful ways to say no. Achoo. Guess I'm allergic. And good excuse is something you never outgrow. That's the best one. Garfield. A good excuse is something you never outgrow. It's bad for my complexion. When your pals say, let's get wrecked, that's baby Kermit, okay? When your pals say, let's get wrecked, Dewey comes in and says, muster up your self-respect. Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles say, go on, push eject, protect yourself. And then all of them say, get up and go. Tigger, be the first one on your block to say, Alf. Forget it, Doc. Chipmunks, they try a couple of those wonderful ways to say no, Miss Piggy. But you forget one. Wait, Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Michelangelo lip sync. There's a million zillion wonderful ways to say no. Baby Piggy, stand back and I'll demonstrate. And then there's a million jillion wonderful ways to say, ha ha, no. Like, okay. You guys.
Masterpiece. You know,
that is lyrical greatness right there from the greats.
To quote the great Olsen twins, I believe it's Ashley Olsen or maybe Mary Kate.
Please
I can't remember, but they were talking about their career and they said, no is a complete sentence. And that's the truth.
They said I remember them saying
they got that really far in their career when there were things you didn't want to do. No is a complete sentence. I think I never wanted to do drugs. The D.A.R.E program did not compel me to be interested in drugs even in the slightest. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around how seeing all of this would be like, yeah, do it.
Well, and I must say I am the, cleanest of clean. I've never had anything close to that. And never had a desire for it either. But also I can see that like through it even in this movie, they're like showing drug paraphernalia. Like they're just, while telling you to say no, they're teaching you about it. Like, here's what you can find. And these are the people that would be.
Yeah.
It's just like, for somebody who has the personality, who would want to do stuff that was just a little bit outside of what the just authority figures tells them to do, just because that's the type of kid that would be like, really?
Thank you for showing me everything I need to do and what to buy and what to look out for.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, there we go. What would you rate this?
There we go. Oh gosh. 1 star. I'm not even. I'm not gonna watch this again.
Yeah, I mean, it had Marsden, so
Well, yeah,
James Marsden. I like.
He gets the star.
I like him. This is a time capsule. This is interesting, but as far as like something great, no, not my favorite. So probably half a star. Yeah, I don't think it's meant to be in my top favorites of all time. So. It was fun to watch. It was kind of a hilarious little throwback to a moment in time. If they were to make this today, who would be the characters they'd put on? And what would be the storyline?
I don't know, but did you know that they're actually trying to bring D.A.R.E back?
Oh.
So here you go.
In like a corrupt way, since you really...
Well, it's the same guy who started it from the beginning.
Great.
So, yay.
So we did this thing for 2 decades, and it was completely unsuccessful by all metrics. But what if we do it again?
How about we try something a little different this time? Yeah.
Interesting. I did they have the D.A.R.E cars? Like some of the police cars were like wrapped with the D.A.R.E logo. They'd come to the campus. I remember that. Yeah. I think I got a pencil. That's the extent of it. So,
You just wish that you got all the merchandise.
If they were to do characters nowadays, I'm trying to think like what. It's so hard because we don't have this like monoculture anymore. Everything's so fragmented. It's like, do you have... I don't think you would have the Coco Melon kids because that's too young of a it's like, what is the thing that the
bad guys
12-year-old? Yeah, I mean, but what's the TV equivalent of that? Like, are there? I'm not in that like lane of watching shows. Like, are there shows for 12-year-olds anymore? That like, I don't know. Like,
I mean, I don't think they're gonna get Bluey.
Bluey. I mean, yeah, Bluey, My Little Pony, if those are still relevant, but not really. I can't even think of anything good.
That's kind of sad on its own on its face. The fact that we're like, what are the characters now? Because specifically to today, as opposed to something that
like
would
a
be
lot of the things I'm thinking of a lot of like preschool shows, which I guess there were some preschool type characters, like the Muppet Babies and stuff. But yeah, I think I'm just really out of it as far as like the TV culture. I'm sure there's all sorts of like TV shows people are like shouting like, what are you talking about? Should we get the South Park kids? I mean, seems like they'd be more.
Oh, South Park has been they're
still around, still doing stuff. Simpsons are still around. I don't know.
Yeah.
But are they relevant? I don't know. Very interesting. Yeah, I wonder how it'd be interesting how you would attempt to do this again. I don't know if you would.
I hope not.
Yeah, it'd be 3D for sure.
Yeah.
So there we have it, guys. Cartoon All-Stars to the rescue. They saved the day. Michael is not going to go down that path of drug use. He's going to shipshape and live a life of happiness. So let us know your thoughts about this movie. Did you grow up watching it? Did you not? Go check out the link and tell us what you think. And yes, good times. So until next good time.
Until next time.
Drug-free since 2003. Actually, much drug-free always, but
yes, since 86.
Dare to say no.
Until next time,
we are the Rotoscopers.
You've been listening to the Animation Addicts Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to help spread the word, be sure to share the podcast with your friends on social media. Just don't forget to tag us at Rotoscopers on Instagram and use the hashtag Animation Addicts. For all the links and full show notes for this episode, go to rotoscopers.com/podcast. Now, if you still can't get enough for your animation fix, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and visit rotoscopers.com for more animation news, reviews, and interviews. Thanks for listening.
The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power and advanced Audi tech, the next chapter of Audi is here.